Welcome to the Explainer. So today we're going to talk about something that's, well, a huge challenge for pretty much any organization using AI right now. It's this idea of how you go from just managing one-off projects to actually governing a whole portfolio of them. And trust me, it demands a totally new way of thinking, especially when the stakes get really high.
All right, let's just jump right in with a question that really cuts to the chase. Managing one AI system, that feels like a project, right? It's got a clear beginning, a middle, and end. But what happens when you have, say, 10 of them, or 20? Suddenly, you're not just dealing with more projects. It's a whole different ballgame. And that scaling challenge, that brings us to what you could call the problem of many. It's this issue that crops up the very second an organization goes beyond that one single AI system. I mean, let's be real. This is the fundamental truth for just about every company out there today. AI is not some one-off experiment anymore, not by a long shot. It's this ever-growing collection of systems, and each one is doing a different job, getting woven into all these different parts of the business.
Okay, but here's the catch, right? Every single one of those systems brings its own risks to the table. And when you start piling them up, it's not like they just stack up neatly, one on top of the other. No way. They start talking to each other, interacting, creating all these weird new dependencies. And all of a sudden, the total risk, what we call the aggregate risk of your entire AI program, just disappears. It becomes invisible. And worse, it's completely unmanaged.
And this visual here, it just nails the problem. So each of those boxes is a single AI service. But look at those red lines connecting them all. That's the key. Without some kind of high-level portfolio oversight, you get this tangled mess, this web of risk that's forming right under your nose. And every single one of those connections, that's a potential point of failure that you're never going to catch if you're just looking at one system at a time. So the big question is, how do you get a handle on this mess? How do you even begin to untangle that web? Well, the answer is you have to change your perspective. You have to stop looking at the individual trees and start looking at the whole forest. You have to govern the entire AI portfolio.
So let's be super clear about what we mean by that. Portfolio oversight isn't just more bureaucracy or extra paperwork. No, it's a specific, dedicated layer of governance. The best way to think about it is like an air traffic control tower for your entire AI program. Its whole job is to manage that big picture aggregate risk we were just talking about. It gives you visibility and, most importantly, control over everything you're doing with AI.
And check this out. This diagram shows the solution perfectly. You see those layers highlighted in amber? The control plane and the evidence and audit plane? That is your governance framework. It sits on top of all the individual systems, and its job is to bring order to the chaos. It makes sure controls are consistent, and it makes the whole shebang auditable. This is literally how you go from chaos to control.
Okay, so what does this control tower actually do? Well, this governance layer has some really clear jobs. First, it's the gatekeeper. It decides which systems even get the green light to be built. Then, it makes sure that risk is assessed the same way every time for every project. It's also in charge of setting priorities and handing out resources, which are always limited, right? And maybe most importantly, it makes sure every single AI initiative actually lines up with what the business is trying to achieve.
All right, next up, enforcing shared standards. And let me tell you, this part is absolutely critical. We're not just talking about being a little more efficient here. For any company in a regulated industry, consistency can be the difference between being compliant and facing some truly massive fines.
This chart really puts it all in black and white. On the left side, that's what you get when teams are just doing their own thing in silos. You get all these different controls, evidence that's a mess for auditors, and when something inevitably goes wrong, the response is totally fragmented. Now look at the right. With real portfolio governance, you get shared standards. You get consistent, high-quality evidence, and you get a coordinated incident response. It is a night and day difference.
So, we've seen what good looks like, but what happens if you get this wrong? Let's take a look at the most common ways this whole thing can fail, and you might be surprised at how easy it is to fall into these traps.
Okay, there are really two big paths to failure here. The first one is pretty straightforward. You just ignore how all these systems connect. You approve one project, then another, all in their own little bubbles without ever thinking about how they might influence each other. But the second path, well, it's a bit sneakier. It's when you allow shadow AI to creep in. These are the unofficial, off-the-books projects that pop up, completely sidestepping all the rules and creating huge, hidden risks.
And this visual right here, wow, it shows you the danger of shadow AI perfectly. See that red box down in the execution plane? And that red arrow? That's showing an AI system completely bypassing all the required checks and balances, those approval gates in the control plane. You're basically letting an unvetted, unknown system plug right into the heart of your enterprise. You're introducing risks you don't even know exist.
So what all of this is pointing to is a really fundamental shift in thinking, a shift that any organization has to make if it's serious about using AI at any kind of scale. And here's the bottom line, the crucial point of all this. It's time to stop thinking about AI in terms of isolated projects. You have to start treating AI as a strategic, interconnected program. That mental shift from project-level thinking to program-level management is without a doubt the single most important step you can take to govern AI responsibly.
Now, just to be perfectly clear about what we're doing here, the whole point of this explainer is to walk you through these big governance ideas, to get leaders like you prepared for responsible oversight. We're not here to define a specific org chart for you or to give the thumbs up to any particular project. Think of this as the framework that helps you make those smart decisions.
And so we're going to leave you with one final question to take back with you, to your team, to your organization. Look, your AI portfolio is going to grow. It's going to go from one system to 10, and from 10 to 100. It's inevitable. The real question is your governance built to scale along with it?